Hi, I'm Kelly and welcome to Kapowski Reads, and this is just my little intro because I'm getting ready to go out. The sun is really in my face, so I will be quick. I am going to go to the art gallery today. There is an exhibition because I'm a fun person and I love going to exhibits. There's a textile exhibit at the art gallery in town and it finishes this weekend, but I have plans this weekend, so I have to go today. So I may have used a day of annual leave so that I can go to the art gallery to see an exhibit. In that I did. I've 100% done that. I'm going to go to the exhibit. I'll take you with me. Hopefully there will be some fun B-roll and it will be interesting. I also plan to maybe get a coffee or something. It's going to be really sunny today. I'm just not ready to welcome spring. I'm ready to welcome spring. I'm not ready to welcome like the really warm days that we're gonna get. I think it's 14 degrees right now and it's 9:15 in the morning. I'm gonna boil. So art gallery, might do something in town. We'll find out together. And then I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna read. And I'm gonna stay indoors and I'm gonna play Stardew Valley and I'll be outside in Stardew Valley instead. That's the plan. I also have plans this weekend. I know it's rare for me to actually have plans on the weekend or ever. So this vlog is gonna actually involve me leaving the house at least twice. It happens so rarely. Yeah. I am back from the art gallery and many hours have passed and most of my makeup has probably sweated off. It was 20 degrees when I was coming home and I had the great plan that I was going to walk home because it was a really nice day. It's like an hour walk home in 20 degree weather when I'm this pale. And it was a fine enough walk until I was about halfway home and was like, oh, I'm such a silly goose. I didn't want to do this walk. I was so tired. I'm so tired now. I'm still tired from the walk home I did on Wednesday. But I wanted to go to the bakery. There's a gorgeous bakery that we went to one time before. It's called Fat Batch, which amuses me to no end. And I really wanted to go there on Wednesday. So I walked home from work and it turns out that it closed at 4 and I got there at 4:30. So ever since Wednesday, I've just been thinking I really want to go to that bakery. So I made that happen today and I went to the bakery and I brought home some delicious goods, but they came in a box, quite a big box that I had to keep flat. So I walked for about half an hour or so holding a like 450 gram box flat, so like a static bicep curl for a walk. So my arm was really sore, but we have pudding and that's the main thing. I will add b-roll of my trip to the art gallery. It was a gorgeous exhibit. I don't know if it's touring, but if it is and you get the chance to go and see the textile display, I highly recommend it. I got a little bit weepy because I am first and foremost an embarrassment. But it was gorgeous seeing all of like the printed scarves and it was just really interesting, and I love an exhibit and I love when we get these sort of special exhibits at the library. It always just feels really extra special. Yeah, great day at the art gallery. All of my little trips out are like a very well organized school trip. I'm like dun dun dun, I'm doing all of these things and I got to see all of the things I wanted to see and do all of the things I wanted to do, and then I got home by like 12:30. Fantastic. And I've spent the afternoon reading and I realise now I forgot to tell you what books I'm planning to read in the course of this vlog, so I'm gonna do that now. I'm reading my library books. I have 4 library books, and I did film an intro where I went through all of my library books, but I filmed that when I got these books, and that was a while ago. And I think I've deleted that footage, so it's fine. We're gonna just go with it now. I have actually finished a book today. The first book that I'm going to be chatting about is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I loved S.T. Gibson's A Dowry of Blood. It was one of my favourite books. I think it was 2023 that I read it. I loved it. And I didn't really remember what this book was about. And I got the author confused with a different author. And I didn't really remember too much about what it was about, other than knowing it was dark academia. And I was like, that's enough. I fancy some dark academia. And I got to page maybe 40 of this book. And then I realised this is a Carmilla sort of reimagining. And I love Carmilla. It's one of my favourite classics. This book takes place in 1960s in a university in like New England. I think Gilmore Girls style fall weather is what I was getting from this. We have a very, very beloved and respected professor, and she's kind of got her favourite student, Carmilla. But she's not here to make friends, and she's quite the character. She wears these outlandish outfits, which, I mean, they sound fantastic. And then we have a new student, Laura, who shows up from this like small town in the south and is also extremely talented. And then Carmilla and Laura are kind of academic rivals, but they're also like academic equals. And of course Carmilla's not too pleased about no longer being the #1 pet and actually having somebody who rivals her talent. So there's this really fun academic rivalry where you can really tell that they don't hate each other. Like, they don't. They want you to think they hate each other, but no, they do not. And all while this is going on, there's vampire stuff happening. And I loved every moment of this book. It was so fun. I loved the characters. Obviously, with Carmilla, a Carmilla inspired novel, I was gonna love it. I love Carmilla, so I was gonna love this. But I feel that the characters here really were a little bit different to in the classic. Laura was a little bit more confident at times. She knew what she wanted and she wasn't sort of afraid to ask for it. And similarly, Carmilla showed some softness in this book, which in the classic she doesn't really. I love the vampire elements of this. There was a fun vampire party. I would have been extremely uncomfortable at that party, but you know, they had a great time. I loved the vampire elements. I loved the sort of the big bad. There was a baddie that we had to look into and deal with, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the drama and the power dynamics and the poetry. It was a very beautiful setting. I was getting Gilmore Girls vibes, and it also reminded me a little bit of Mona Lisa Smile, just in that sort of female student friendship in the 60s kind of way, and I really liked it. This wasn't quite a 5-star for me, but I had a fantastic time with it. It just wasn't quite there. I measure a 5-star with my heart, not my head. I was not expecting this to be is a little bit spicy, and I wasn't expecting that. But there was a list at the beginning of the book of sort of potential triggering content, and like, it's not a bad thing that there was spice. I just didn't expect it, and then when it showed up, I was like, oh, there we go. There we are. And they had a great time. It was fun to read. Yeah. I am going to take whatever is left of my makeup off and just have a really cozy night in. I want to finish, hopefully I can finish another book before I give you an update tomorrow. And yeah, I haven't even eaten my delicious treat that I got on the way home. That's for pudding. I'm gonna have that. Don't know what I'm having for dinner, but I know what I'm having for pudding. I need it acknowledged, I am going out for lunch. It is 16 degrees. I have no coat on, no jacket, no cardigan. I'm just wearing one layer. It's really warm. I meant to film an update yesterday, but I didn't. I was tired. I went out yesterday with no jacket, no cardigan, and I wasn't cold. I'm kind of cold today, hence my jumper is appropriate. I went out for what is maybe now going to be a regular quarterly meetup with my friends. We meet every year, my little craft group. We used to all play roller derby together, and we all did some form of crafting, and we had this little group, and the vast majority of us have now moved on from skating, but we're still, we still keep in touch, and we tend to meet every Christmas. We keep saying we're gonna meet more regularly, and this year was the first year that we actually did. So we met up. I was a little early, so I went for a little bit of a walk. I went around Union Terrace Gardens, which I thought were going to be full of gorgeous spring flowers because it's spring, and it wasn't. It looked exactly the same as it did in like January. So I'm kind of waiting for that. That place is gonna blossom at some point, and I'm gonna go. It's a really nice kind of park with these gorgeous statues and like exhibits, I suppose. It's really cute, and it's city centre, and I needed some time to kill, and I didn't want to go back inside quite yet. Then we went for lunch, and I had mushrooms on sourdough, which I always get because I love mushrooms. I know a lot of people, or at least a lot of people at my table, did not. We were firmly in either team mushroom, team anti-mushroom. And the anti-mushroom team was a bit bigger. So it was just really nice having catch up with my friends, but by the time I got home I was exhausted. So I did not film my catch up, but I do have updates on 2 books that I'm going to share with you now. Book 1 is Diversity by June Sarpong. This was my non-fiction book, bit of a chunky boy, and I love June Sarpong. She was a TV presenter on a program called T4, which was sort of like a weekend morning show that had various programs on it, like Shipwrecked, and I think like the Hollyoaks Omnibus, maybe. It was like in my teens, and I just sort of remember June Sarpong as being very prominent during my teen television watching years, and I didn't know she had written a book, so I was excited to read it. This book is about sort of otherness, people who find themselves being in the minority, not being the most represented in a room, and it tackled multiple different types of otherness. So we have people who are working class, people who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, ageism. It was a lot of different groups were represented in this book, and I really appreciated the way that there was such a wide variety of people who were included. I really like the sort of personal anecdotes from June, but I'm so biased. I love June Sarpong, so I liked getting these little stories from her life and seeing how they were relevant to each of the chapters. The book felt super well researched. There's a lot of notes at the back of sources, so I assume it was, and I really liked the charts and tables in the book throughout that really just let you have some facts to back up what was being said. This book was enjoyable, it was informative, it was rage inducing, because this book came out in like 2017, and it was just sad seeing how little progress I was going to say the world, but this book only focuses on the UK and the US, but it was sad seeing how little progress had been made in those respective countries, especially because this book was so full of hope for change, which hasn't really seemed to come, and in some areas it does feel like we're going backwards. And while this was entertaining as well as being informative, it was very dense at times, and I did find myself sort of not being able to read a great deal of it in one sitting. And there were a lot of opinions as well as a lot of facts. But you can back up a fact, but you can't really back up an opinion. So there were some parts where I was reading the book sort of thinking, well, there's not anything to back that up. And it was quite bold claims are being made. I liked it. I really liked it, and I learned a lot. If you are interested in reading it, I recommend it. I have another book, which is Games for Dead Girls by Jen Williams. I made a mistake of reading the blurb for this book on Goodreads, as well as because the back doesn't say too much. The back just says we have Charlie, who as a child went to this seaside town where there's lots of folklore stories, and as an adult she goes back and finds that perhaps some of those stories were a little bit more real than make-believe. But when I marked the book on Goodreads as reading it, there was a different blurb which basically gave quite a healthy spoiler for the book. However, saying that, I DNF'd this book before that spoiler came. So I'm DNFing the book, but I kind of know the spoiler, which is something. I gave this book 100 pages and I decided I was going to give up on it. The reason being that I was not enjoying it. And I think that's a fair reason to give up on a book. If you're not enjoying it, it's very, very slow paced. I am not the biggest fan of a slow paced book. I feel impatient when I read a slow paced book. I'm like, come on, we got places to go, people to see. I need the book to get a shimmy on, speed up a bit. I would have kind of had the book started with something that kind of hooked me in, then I would have been more invested. And there was like a prologue that I think was supposed to hook me in, but really I would have preferred if there was maybe a little bit more that really just sort of went and then I'm invested. I'm clawed. I need to stay, but it didn't. There were 3 different timelines in this. We had one in the sort of late 1940s surrounding a young boy whose father was a doctor, wanted him to be a surgeon. That's all I know about him. We didn't get a lot about him, which kind of made me think, I don't know. I feel a certain way when we get multiple points of view, and I know they're all not linked until the end or later on, but it feels a bit throwing a lot of information at me, hoping it's gonna stick. We also have scene set during the late 80s when our main character, Charlie, is a young girl and she's there at this seaside town and meets a friend at the caravan park. They sort of share scary stories. It was all quite sweet. And we then have current day where Charlie has gone back to the seaside town. She's brought her niece for reasons, and she's writing a book about folklore, or at least she says that she's writing a book about folklore, and she's just wanting to do some sort of interviews with locals and use that for her book. I was very, very bored by this book. I at the beginning with the prologue, I thought, ooh, there's gonna be horror, and there might be, but I'll never get there because I'm not finishing it. I didn't feel invested enough. It took me ages to get to page 100 and I had absolutely no reward. I didn't really feel anything for any of the characters. I didn't really feel anything about the storyline. I love things with folklore. I love stories with, you know, secrets, grand reveals, quaint little settings. I kind of hoped for more and I was left feeling very disappointed. So we're putting this away. We're not reading it. throwing it on the bed. I have one more book from my library stash that I'm hoping to include in this video, which is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. I am really excited to read this, and I'm going to. I have, as of this morning, finished The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This is a haunted house book. We have Beatrice. She and her mother had fallen on very hard times. Her father had been killed and they went to live with family who were really hostile and not loving and very cruel. So Beatrice jumps at the chance to marry Rodolfo, who is basically this rich landowner. And her plan is that she's going to live there. She'll get her mother to join her, and her mum will be free from the clutches of her really cruel family. However, Beatrice's mother does not approve of this marriage. It's not a marriage for love. It's a marriage for, realistically, for safety and security. This book takes place in 1817. No, it does not. This book takes place in 1823 in Mexico. Country's been dealing with war, with conflict, and, you know, things are not at their best. Beatrice rocks up to this hacienda, which I believe a hacienda is like a grand home that has land around it. Rodolfo, he's made his money during a time of conflict where a lot of people have not, which kind of lets you know a little bit about Rodolfo. If he can make money when everyone else is struggling, there's something there. Beatrice instantly, as soon as she crosses the threshold of this home, she feels unwelcome. She feels cold. She hears these voices. And Rodolfo, her husband, is like, oh, I suppose it's a bit cold. Completely oblivious. No idea. And then we find out that this house is haunted. It's like possessed. Beatrice then befriends Andres, a priest, a sort of up-and-coming priest. He's not an official priest yet, but he will be. It's his goal. He comes and helps kind of exorcise the house, and he's trying to help her. He used to live in the grounds of the hacienda. It was his like family home. His family goes back generations. They were there far longer than Rodolfo's family were, so he knows the secrets of this land. And yeah, we basically have a ghost story. I really wanted a gothic haunted house spooky story, and I got that with this. It was gloriously gothic in that the house was a character. I really love when a creepy house is a creepy character. I was instantly kind of hooked. I wanted to know what, well, I didn't know. I was like, well, do I want to know what happened in this house? Or considering the time period, the power imbalance, I don't know if I want to know what happened in this house, but it wouldn't have been good times. And it was not good times. I really was intrigued by the way that Andres and Beatrice were trying to sort of rid the house of its like specters. And I really liked the way that their relationship grew. I did feel at times that Beatrice felt a bit modern for 1823. I don't know how sort of realistic it would have been for like the lady of the house to just be chilling with an unmarried man, but then I suppose he's a man of God, so does that make it different? I don't know, but it felt like Beatrice was very modern. The book could have probably taken place in modern day with very few changes. I really liked the book up until about page 250. I was having the best time. I was freaked out. I could not read this in the dark. It was a daytime only book. But with the third act, when that reveal came, I kind of lost my interest a bit because I felt it went down a very, what I thought was a very predictable route, and I didn't like that because the rest of the book had been pretty unpredictable and just really exciting, but the last third kind of dragged for me. Weren't too many characters in this. We had Beatrice, we had Andres, we had Paloma, who was Andres's cousin, and she was sort of in charge of the home, and I really liked her. I would have liked to have known a little bit more about her. She was very, very strong, and she had been through a lot in her life, and she was just so likable and very, very supportive, and I really liked her. There was also Juana, who was Rodolfo's sister, and instantly we disliked her. We didn't like her. And I kind of got a vibe that the book was going to go a certain direction with Juana, that was going to sort of explain things, because there was a lot of oh, it's 1823, she's unmarried, she wears trousers. You can see where the book was going, or sort of implying, and I thought the book was going to go that way, but it didn't. But I did have a good time with this. I really enjoyed the writing. It was very descriptive, very beautifully written for quite a horrific kind of scary story. I would like to read more books by this author. I really want to read they have the Vampires El Norte. My Spanish is atrocious. Don't listen to my pronunciation of anything Spanish. It is not good. But that she has a book and it's vampires. And I think it's probably similarly like historical. And I really want to read that, but I couldn't get it from the library, which is why I got this one instead. But I think it was a really good introduction to the author. I'm ready to try her again. I just didn't really like the last bit of the book, and that's a personal choice, and that was fine. I also felt the kind of ending dragged just a smidgen, but the first 2/3 of the book more than made up for that. I think I'm going to give this book, I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars, but I'll round it up to 4 on Goodreads, because Goodreads doesn't give me half stars. So it's 3.5/4. And this is the last of my library books. I have finished 3, DNF'd 1, and I think that that is pretty good. I'm going to go and take these back to the library today. It's going to rain, hopefully not before I get back. I do have more books to pick up. My next library books are already ready for collection, and I'm very excited. I'm probably not going to... I'm really doing badly at getting one of these books up. One of these vlogs even, one of my library book vlogs up once a month. It's my goal, but I'm kind of failing, but that's okay. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And if you haven't, let me know if you've been reading anything good from the library recently. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.